Have you ever wondered what would happen if you say, give a mouse a cookie, you give a pig a pancake? Or what if you took the mouse to the movies? Well, Laura Numeroff, the author of many books that you may know, author, public speaker, and overall wonderful woman, Laura Numeroff worked hard for her name that she has today. She was born in Brooklyn, New York, as the youngest of three girls. She also had the her first contract for her first book before she even graduated from the Pratt Institute and had her contract for her first book and her degree in communications. Former presidents have chosen her to come to the White House for many occasions. First Lady Michelle Obama read If You Give a Mouse a Cookie on the front lawn of the White House in the 2010 Easter egg roll, and was also one of the 10 children's authors invited to Literacy Day in Washington during the Bush administration in 2001. So, Laura Numeroff is an author of some of the books that you may know. Her first book was published in 1975, and it was Amy for Short. Her best known series, I like to call best known because it's the one that is my ultimate favorite, was If You Give a Mouse a Cookie. It was first printed in 1985. But as you know now, there are many other cases what happens when you give an animal something. Some of her work includes If You Give a Mouse a Cookie, If You Give a Moose a Muffin, If You Give a Pig a Pancake, The Best Mouse Cookie, If You Take a Moose to the Movies, If You Take a Mouse to the Movies, If You Take the Mouse to School, If You Give a Pig a Party, Merry Christmas Mouse, Time for School Mouse, and so on and so forth. So she does a lot of these series that I thought were going to be really great for you to dig into your classroom as a teacher. And some activities that you could do and why you should choose to read Laura Numeroff's books. I personally choose to read these books in my classroom because I think a really cool thing to do in a kindergarten classroom especially is have this be your theme throughout the year. She does a lot of books that are around holiday season as well as kind of like going to school and all of that good stuff. So I think overall this book would be a great thing to read to your students with every season. You could do adventures throughout the whole entire book. You'll see in a little while when I read the book I chose to read aloud is very adventurous. And Laura Numeroff does a great job of showing the curiosity of a mouse that you could relate to your students for being themselves. And the kind of friendship that the two characters really hold together is a great theme for these books overall. Some awards that Laura Numeroff won was the California Dream Medal in 1988, Colorado Children's Book Award in 1988, Georgia Children's Picture Story Award in 1988, Nevada Young's Reader Award in 1989, Buckeye Children's Book Award in 1989, and the Quill Award for If You Give a Pig a Party in 2006. So she wasn't any of the winners for the books that we personally went over or the awards we personally went over, but I thought that was really cool that her books itself and her being an author won a lot of different awards. Some other things that make Laura Numeroff a great author is the work that she did not only for her own books, but also when she partners with different organizations. She wrote Raising a Hero to support canine companions for independence, as well as the Hope Tree Kids Talk About Cancer to the Susan B. Komen Breast Cancer Foundation. And so she partners with those organizations to work with them on raising funds and as well as bringing awareness to the different causes. And the books are adorable that she wrote for those. And it's overall a really great thing that she's able to bring to other organizations. I'm going to go over now why I thought this was a good book by reading the book, and then you'll see yourselves in the real loud how this is. So the book I chose to read is If You Take a Mouse to the Movies, and of course is by Laura Numeroff. It is illustrated by Felicia Bond. This book's a little older. This is my personal copy, and that's what I love about this book is that these are mine. This is my favorite series when I was younger, and I think it's great. If you take a mouse to the movies, he'll ask you for some popcorn. When you give him the popcorn, he'll want to string it all together. Then he'll want to hang it on a Christmas tree. What do you think happens? You'll have to go buy him one. On the way home, he'll see a snowman in your neighbor's yard. he'll want to make one of his own. Then he'll need a carrot for the nose. When he's all finished, he'll decide to build a fort. He'll ask you to help him. Then he'll want to make some snowballs and have a snowball fight. Playing outside will make him cold. He'll want to go inside and curl up on the couch. He'll ask you for a blanket. Once he's nice and cozy, he'll want to listen to Christmas carols. You'll have to find some on the radio. He'll probably sing along. The carols will remind him of his Christmas tree, so he'll want to make some ornaments. You'll get him some paper and glue. He'll ask you for glitter. When the ornaments are done, he'll hang them all up. Then he'll stand back to look at the tree. He'll notice his popcorn string is missing. So he'll want to make another one. He'll ask you for some popcorn, and chances are, when you give him the popcorn, he'll want you to take him to the movies. So that, once again, was one of the books in the series about the mouse, If You Take a Mouse to the Movies. The characters, of course, in this book are the little boy and the mouse. The illustrations here do a great job. They look to be painted, and they show great detail to the movies that they're showing. This is a Christmas-themed or a holiday-themed book that you can show in your classroom, as well as I think the illustrations are just so darn adorable when you have his clothes hanging up, as well as him chilling on the couch in this part of the book. So the theme, I think, a lot in this book, once again, is that creativity and kind of the chain that the mouse comes up with, and you in your classroom can do so much for this. My personal classroom, when I am a teacher, we are going to have this kind of be a year theme one time, and we're going to kind of just base it off of that and do a lot of these readings. I plan on teaching kindergarten, and I think this is a great book because they are able to maybe move on and read them themselves. That's how I was introduced to these books, was I read them in the classroom and then slowly began to read them myself, and then fell in love with this whole entire series. This was the only one I found at my home about this series by her, but I knew I loved it, and so when I found this one, I had to bring it along. So there's so much that you could do in your classroom for this, and overall, my findings more deeper, I knew that Laura Numeroff was a great author because of the love I had for this book personally, but also you're able to relate this book to so many life things, especially Raising a Hero, and the one for, excuse me while I read this, the Hope Tree, Kids Talk About Cancer. It really, you're able to relate a lot to your students, and your students are going to be to relate to something that's going on to their life with maybe a pet. Raising a Hero goes into that, as well as the one about cancer. It's just overall, she's a great artist or author, and she does amazing work. And then her work, I think a lot of the time, is what you relate other works to, because as soon as you hear the title, If You Give a Mouse a Cookie, you start thinking about, oh, well, the pig and the pancake, or the mouse in the movies, or the moose in the muffin kind of thing. So there's so much that you can take away from this book that I highly recommend you using in your classroom. Once again, that would be the creativity, the imagination, as well as the friendship bond that the two characters clearly have throughout all the series, and the characters have with one another. And then the other books I would highly recommend using to kind of relate to your students a little bit more and have that sort of takeaway with the reading. Thank you so much, and I hope you enjoyed.